Hello and welcome to episode 2 of controlling the banks of your third-party gyro with your Jeti. So we're looking at how to interface your Jeti system with the two banks on something like a Bavarian Demon Cortex or igyro or other gyro that works in that manner. As I said in episode 1, if you've got a Jeti Assist, it works in a little bit different way, so see my videos about programming the assist. In this video, what we're going to use is two separate tuning knobs. In my case, I'll use P7 and P8 to independently tune each bank in the one flight. And so this is a little bit different to episode 1, where we used one bank to give us a symmetrical gain, albeit that we could adjust it at the very final stage. Why would you want to do this? Well, for instance, you might have bank 1 as your normal fly around with the vectored thrust switched off for stabilization as well as switched off from the radio. And bank 2 might be your hover mode, where you've brought in the vectored thrust, but you want not only a very different gain, but you might adjust the balance of the gains between the elevator and rudder and ailerons. And if your gyro allows you to do all that, then you need to be switching between bank 1 and bank 2, and they might be one in normal mode, one in heading mode when you're in hover, this kind of thing. But you don't want a symmetrical gain adjustment as we did in episode 1, which was pretty simple, just for something like the stabilization of your nose wheel steering on and off. So you'd want for perhaps very high gains in the hover mode, very low gains in the normal mode, so you can't tune them symmetrically. So we're going to use one knob for each of them, and yet allow you to do it all on the one channel, in the one flight. Job done. So let's get into it. We're setting up our model. Come along here, and this time, instead of just gyro 1, we're going to use gyro 2 as well. On we go. Right, the gyro sense is going to be whichever switch we're using for our normal mode and hover mode, for example. And so I'll choose to use this switch here. So I go into that, set it, clear out the one that's there, set that, okay, and come into here and set gyro sense 2 to be the same one. Okay to that. On we go. It's going to allocate a channel for each of them, but of course your gyro can only pick up one channel for its gain control and bank control, so that's going to be channel 5. So we can go ahead and delete channel 6 from using the gyro sense 2, freeing up that channel. However, for the moment I'm going to put it in here in channel 7, simply so that we can see in the servo monitor what's going on. It makes life a lot easier when you can actually see what's happening than if something doesn't work the way you expected. You're a bit in the dark of what's going on. So that's the only reason I've put it in here, and perhaps you would do the same when you're getting it all set up, so you can understand what's happening, see that it's all working properly from gyro sense 2, and then you can delete it once everything's working properly. On we go. No. Right. Let's say that switch up is going to be bank 1 normal flying, and switch down is going to be bank 2 your hover mode. Okay, doke. Let's head on into our gyro settings. And as we can see, because we've set this as the same switch for both, with going between position 1 and position 3, you do get 3 positions. What's happened to position 2? Position 2 would be the mid position of the switch, but because I've chosen 2 positions switch, it's only giving us position 1 and position 3. There's no point for this of doing position in the middle, because you could use it as an off switch, but I will be using my gyro master as the off switch. Okay, we've said that this is going to be bank 1 normal fly around mode, and in our imaginary gyro, negative values are bank 1. So let's take that down to minus 100%. The tuning knob will be P8 for bank 1. So I do that, I remove the center, reverse it, say OK. If you're wondering what's going on there, see episode 1. And I want to give it 100% power. So lovely. Look at the actual output, that number there. The P8 knob is all the way anti-clockwise. No output, that's what I want. As I turn it up all the way, I get to minus 100% at maximum. Fully clockwise, fully anti-clockwise, that's the way around I like it to be. So we go from, in effect, gyro off to maximum bank 1 gain. Okay, and let's move it to the hover mode. Position 1 of the switch, we can see we've got a whole lot new settings. Well, in hover mode, I don't want bank 1 to be enabled. So what I'm going to do is come down here and change that to 0. Okay, got that? Oops, wrong switch. So normal fly around mode, I've got full control of the gyro setting in negative values, giving us bank 1. And if I switch to the hover mode, or whatever it is you want, where you want bank 2, it's forced that to 0. Okay, let's have a look at what that does to the output. So here is channel 5, our gyro gain control. I go to normal fly around mode, P8 is giving me full control of the bank. I switch it to the other mode where I want bank 1, and nothing there for the moment. That's good. Okie doke. Let's go back to gyro settings. Right. Gyro sense 2, which is also working off the same switch, but I'm going to use P7 to tune it, not P8. And in this gyro, we want bank 2. So at the moment switch is up, we want bank 1 running, that's good. So we'll take that down to 0. No tuning knob, so when the switch is up, bank 1 is running on P8. Bank 2 would be off. Switch that down, bank 1 is off, bank 2 is on. But we want it to be positive this time to get it into bank 1. And the tuning knob this time is going to be P7. Remove the center, leave it proportional. We shouldn't have to reverse it this time. Give it full control over it. Right, let's watch. We're running on whatever it is you want bank 2 to be in. There's the output, and it's gone wild because, silly me, this should actually be 0. It's bizarre, isn't it? For negative values, we had to put in minus 100 as the end point, but for positive values, we put in 0 as the end point. It's one of the reasons I'm never very keen on these gyro menus. You have to fiddle about a bit to get what you want. Anyway, we've got what we want. I'm going to rotate the P7 knob fully anti-clockwise. Our output is 0. Rotating clockwise, fully clockwise, the output is 100. Okay, and our bank 1 is switched off. Switch to that. Our bank 2 is now switched off. Nothing happens, but our bank 1 is running on P8. Okay, so far so good, except that of course they're on different channels. Okay, so here is the actual channel we're going to use, which is channel 5, and running in bank 1 position switch, you can see I've got control of it through the P8 knob, whereas bank 2, which at the moment is in channel 7, is not working at all. I switch the switch over. We're now wanting bank 2 to be working. So our actual channel's gone to 0, but the output from gyrosense 1 is now positive, working on P7. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. what we need to do is get that tuning knob from P7 over to channel 5. And this is how we'll go about it. A mix, add from gyrosense 2 to gyrosense 1, and the master value will be 100%. We don't actually need to assign a switch. And the reason being, if you remember, we've already effectively zeroed out any mixing, because when we switch banks, the other bank goes to a 0 value. Let's prove that. Let's go into the servo output. Now at the moment we're running on gyrosense 2 is active, so if I rotate the P7 knob, which is running on channel 7, that's fine. But now that we've mixed it, can you see it's appearing in channel 5? And I can set it to any value I want, and when I switch the switch over to gyrosense 1, it should go over to a bank 1 value. There we are, in which P7 has no effect, but P8 works. So P8 is working in bank 1, any value. I switch over to bank 2, and P7 is giving me any value there. So if I set P7 to 85, there you can see I can tune any value, leave it there, and it goes back to quite independently 85% there. So let's set that. We'll go 82% minus 58. There we go. So we're switching between the banks quite happily. Right. How do we get a master on-off switch? Same way as before. Say OK. What we're going to do is show you everything that will happen. If I come to the Dual Rate Expo, gyrosense, switch, that to there, come up to here, set its symmetry is on, set a value of 0. So it will now switch between our dual rate of that. But this won't quite have worked out as you think, because if we go here, switch the gyro on, there, bank 1, working nicely, gyro master off, and it fails. Good. Well, not fails, it's gone to 0, so your gain's gone off. That's nice. What happens when I switch to bank 2? You think, oh, well, that's still active on P7. Why hasn't that zeroed out? Why is the switch not making any effect? It's because we haven't carried the mix through the dual rate. So the dual rate is applying purely to the gyrosense 1 function, not anything that's mixed through it. How do we do that? I'll show you. Come to free mixes, edit it. If we come down here, hit slave the dual rate, switch that on, and that does the job. So now, if we look at it, okay, we're in bank 2, switch off, it's gone to 0. So switch between bank 1 and bank 2, and it's staying there. You can see gyrosense 2 is active, but because we've now carried the mix through the dual rate, nothing can happen. Switch it on, and we've got our 2 independent bank controls. There we go. Lovely. Now, that allows you now to switch between the banks. 2 independent tuning controls. You can get both banks set up in the one flight. And at the end of the flight, you come here and we do much as we did in episode 1, except we set the value in each of the 2 gyrosense. So let's have a look. We've set bank 1, we've tuned it, and it's gone to minus 38. So we'll set that as minus 38 to lock it in. Remove that. So it doesn't matter how we switch it now. Minus 38 is our value. Go to bank 2, it's off. Okie doke. Come down here to the bank 2 control. 65%. So we'll set that to 65. Come along here, remove that. Okay. So now we toggle from minus 38 to plus 65. Okay. And I'll show you now. Plus 65 bank 2, minus 38 bank 1. Rotating the tuning knobs has no effect in either of them. If I switch it off, there, master switch off, tuning knobs no effect, bank 2, tuning knobs no effect, bank 1. Job's done. Say OK to that. Now we can come back to model, remove gyro sense 2 from the assignment. Let's have a look. Now only channel 5, which is our gyro gain controller, should be working. It's switched in the off position. As we've just shown, nothing happens in either banks. Switch it to the on position, and I can switch between bank 1, which is fixed in position, tuning knobs no longer work. Bank 2, which is fixed in position, tuning knobs no longer work. There you go. Have fun with that one.